He was born on the 26th of October, 1898, if you can believe that. But my father was the last one to be born, and when he was born, one or two of his brothers already had children. And I remember the place that they came from was called Balakleya, near Kharkov. And he was an officer of the Tsar's army. If you look at the back, at the end of the film, Dr. Zhivago, I remember seeing these young fellows. They're all officers dressed in white, or beige, or whatever it is. And they're all retreating, and the communists are following to kill them, to finish with them. And there's the sea. And I just heard that lately, that he was on the point of being left behind, the ships with all the generals and the aristocracy that was leaving. And apparently, he took a pole at the last minute and threw himself into the boat as it was leaving. And he got saved. It would have been close to Odessa and the Black Sea. They were all leaving, of course. They knew that they had no possibilities there anymore. And so he was 19, 20. The ship went to Greece, where he got typhus. There were a whole lot of refugees from the Russian Revolution there. Many of them died there of typhus and of the diseases and all the rest. And a young nurse, young Greek nurse, looked after him, took care of him. And so he survived, and then he went to Bulgaria. And in Bulgaria, he spent 2 years at the Conservatory of Music because he had a beautiful voice. And then he could have stayed there and developed a career, but apparently there was a very great singer at that time called Chaliapin, who's still known. I've got some of his records. And he felt that he could never achieve what Chaliapin had. And so he liked smoking, and you know, you can't smoke when you're singing. And he had become really enamored with cars. At that time, cars were something new. And so he traveled down to Belgium. He had to work in a coal mine for 6 months, I think, because every refugee that came to Belgium had to work in the coal mine at the beginning. Then he was able to start his own business in Brussels. He had a beautiful garage. It was on the second floor, an enormous one. I can still remember going to the office. When my father settled in Brussels and met my mother, we had, apparently, according to my mother, we used to get Russian princes coming to our house to eat because they had no food anymore. They had no jobs. And they would come, they would go from one Russian family to another, and they would be fed. And I remember them kissing my hand and be in my father's arms, or a little girl, and they would treat me like a lady. Eh? And so, Elizaveta Dimitrievna. I always spoke French with him. My mother went to work for my father. I don't know how she found a job, but I must say that I went up to the attic in our house in Brussels, and I found a box with all my mother's letters to my father when I was a baby, or when she was expecting. And because they were not married, they got married after, because my grandmother would not allow the marriage. And I read the letters. I guess my father threw them all out when he came over to Canada. But he had kept them all. They were love letters. So he came to Canada in about 1951. It could have been 1952. He settled in Montreal, and he had thought of going to Winnipeg or out to Calgary, maybe. There were a lot of Russians and Ukrainians there. He left Belgium because they thought that the communists were going to invade the whole of Europe. And so my father felt this moving, and he did not want to live under communism. And the other thing was that in the Second World War, he was asked to be part of the Tsarists who were asked to go and fight against communism in Russia, form a regiment. And he said, I'm not fighting against my own people. and he didn't go.
He went to Canada, that was it? Never crossed the Atlantic again?
No.
And he died in 1976. He lived in Canada for 25 years.
And he was happy here. I mean, as well as, you know, he worked a lot, I thought. Compared to what his life had been in Brussels, he had time to go to the cafes and speak with his friends. But here he came and he wanted to have his own business, his own garage it was, and he got it.